Hey, hello everybody and welcome back to URC. We're now here for the Xbox Tier 1 race and qualifying has just got underway, 3 minutes in, and the cars just kind of getting on to their laps now. We've just seen a Tier 2 race that was dominated by ERL, and now we're moving on to the Tier 1 event, and joining me, James Casey, is going to be James Baker.
Yep, good evening everyone, and welcome along once again. Round one of this season was pretty sublime. It went down to the absolute last laps of that race. Penalties were the only reason Veloce Surprise lost to OMG Joe in the end. And it should be an exciting race, this one, Bahrain. Difficult on the tyres, as people would have seen in Tier 2. It's not an easy one. And you're definitely seeing qualifying is here right now, as a lot of these guys will decide not to use super soft tyres. They will probably be best fit for the soft tyres, I believe, that these guys will be using. And we'll see how that plays out as the session progresses. We've got a quarter of an hour to go, but this session really gets going with about 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we saw in Tier 2. We saw people like they are now putting on the medium tyres to start off with, and then moving on to either the super softs or the soft compound tyres, but most went on the softs because that allows you to do a pretty comfortable one stop, which in the end looked like the better strategy. OMG Joe has gone to the top, last week's winner. Currently on provisional pole, but those times are going to come down a lot later on. These are kind of just a chance for people to get their eye in, isn't it? And just get used to the track in these qualifying conditions.
It is, yeah, just testing the track for its limits. How hard can I push here? How hard can I push there? That kind of thing. They're just looking around, just sussing out where are the best parts. How much curb can I take here? How much curb can I take there? It is just learning the circuit as much as they've done a lot of practice and all. This is much more tense. A driver can, as I've always said in the past, practice means nothing. You can practice as much as you like. I think as soon as you get to that race situation, okay, you're best prepared, but actually in terms of the whole tension that comes around with a race, then actually, no, you're not prepared. I mean, no one can be really prepared for a race like this, and we'll see that, I'm sure, as this session progresses. But it's still Joe ahead of Sarah in the start as well. So currently second at the moment. Yeah, as we say, just starting on those medium tyres. They'll eventually vote on the softs, but there's still a long way to go yet of this session.
We've got 18 of our 20 drivers present here at the moment. A few changes from last week. Veloce Surprise, who crossed the finish line first, is not around this week at the moment. He's been replaced there. In fact, it's a double change in the second IRL team, isn't it? Because they've got Jork and EVR Reynolds here, both reserves driving for them. So quite a bit of a change for the team that kind of dominated in week one. IRL, obviously, we're looking really, really strong, but not quite having the same kind of lineup, which could desettle them ever so slightly.
I think people like Reynolds and Jork have got a point to prove. They've shown in ILR just their credentials, their pace at times has been, somewhat pretty good. And over one lap I've seen, the most famous one was at Baku last season, where they actually locked out the front row, those two, Reynolds and Jork, and it was some story to be told. Okay, it was in wet conditions, and I don't expect to be seeing any rain here in Bahrain, but today's testing session would suggest otherwise. But yeah, they've got a point to prove here for ILR. Just how close are they to those? I feel like there is going to be an almighty scrap for whatever position goes here. Like there really is. This field, I'd say, is remarkably close. The quality may not be absolutely unbelievably good. It's definitely very, very good, but there are still some places where I think maybe towards the back end of the field where it's not as close, let's say. But I'm sure this is going to throw up some pretty amazing racing. And the first race, the real battle we thought would be for the podium in P1 and P2, but the guy in P3 wasn't so close in the end. So I want to see a real scrapful race win here.
Joker's just popped up into P4, and I think ILR, they have got the advantage of Jork and Reynolds, these are two reserve drivers coming in who have masses of experience in this league. They competed last season, Jork for XRL and Reynolds for the F1 league, and they were doing really, really well for their respective teams. To have them as reserve drivers, I think, is a sign of the strength there of ILR, and that being their B team as well. Not, or I think both teams are pretty even, but technically I think it's their B team. Another change here, we've got Melanie into the Red Bull. That's a change there. He's come in for those guys. So quite a few new faces that we've got here compared to Australia. He's another one to look out for because he's been pretty strong in the past.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was just about to say that he's a seasoned veteran. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's won championships in the past. He's come very close to winning championships in the past. There was a famous direct season where I don't believe he's win, and obviously finished second in the championship. But he finished on the podium pretty much every single race, but never won a race that season. He lost out to, back then, oh goodness me, what was his name? He was a German. He actually raced in I think in URC once upon a time. I could be totally wrong with what I'm saying there, but yeah, he got very close on many occasions. He's won championships, Melanie. That's exactly what he's doing. But it is, at the moment, I'd say remarkably close between a lot of these guys in the top 10. So there's only a few tenths really separating Joe in P1 to Tiro, his teammate Tiro Olympus in P10.
I've got a bit of a problem with the camera there. I couldn't go any higher than 8th position. I managed to go around the other way for some reason and get to our top guys who, unfortunately, are mostly in the pits at the moment. Just gearing up now for the second runs with 8 minutes to go. They'll go out. Looks like they're going to be setting times on the soft compound tyres, and then they'll probably decide for their final runs, right, do I stick with the soft compound tyres, or am I going to have to use those super soft tyres, which I think is definitely going to be plan B. I think all being well, they'll want to go onto the soft compound tyres, but it does open it up to a lesser driver, shall I say, boosting themselves up the order on the softer compound of tyres. They do have a pace advantage, as we saw in the Tier 2 race.
Yeah, the start they'll have a pace advantage, but I think it's, if you're that good on your tyres, you may still have a chance, but you may be losing a few positions hand over fist. Pinecone moves himself into P2 in the Ferrari, gets a good lap there, but I'm looking at people maybe the two Williams down there as well. I mean, to be fair, RFL had a really good start, so did Fury Online Racing. They also had a very good start to life in URC, but it was just a case of they did get helped out, I think, by retirements and slight incidents at the start. But you know, they had strong pace, and I think that maybe they would be ones to think about going on the super soft tyres and thinking about, oh yeah, maybe I could take a pole position here. It all accounts for the record books, of course.
Yeah, because those two teams were originally scheduled to be in Tier 2 after the qualifying stage. But were promoted into Tier 1 due to a couple of teams not being able to field a lineup who could drive with no assists. But they put in a really solid effort, didn't they, in that round 1? And as you say, I think there could be someone who could spring a surprise. They look like solid teams, which is good to see, and it shows the depth that we've got. And as you said earlier, a very close run thing at the moment in this championship. I think most people are now coming out of the pits and starting their laps. Although a few of them are still sitting. They're all still sitting there, aren't they? I'm surprised they're leaving it this late.
They will be. Usually, these guys will be. This is pretty much, and well, you were commentating with Commando. You know exactly what I'd be talking about if I said it was happy hour. We always used to call this part of the session happy hour, and this is exactly what we're going to find here as well. All these guys will think, let's bowl on those soft tyres. Let's think about it though, because they could go out with 5 minutes to go and they'd have a clean run at it. They'd have a clean run towards on their flying lap. If they leave it too late, they're not going to have that, because 18 cars are all thinking the same thing. We'll go out late and we'll set our lap at the same time. Maybe going out earlier gives them a slight advantage. The track may not be at its absolute optimum then, but it's not in, I wouldn't say it's going to be in a bad condition. They'll still be able to get a very good lap in. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys fare. Thomas actually just does an installation lap on the super soft tyres for VSR. So let's see then, who actually bites the bullet first? Who comes out first on those soft tyres? It's the Mercedes of Jork, yes, and he could be one to watch then. Maybe one of the very few cars to have a chance at taking, well, a good position on the grid, but having a clean run on his lap, and that's the most crucial thing. It's just having that clean air so no one's in your way and you can just bolt in the best qualifying lap possible.
There is plenty of space for cars to get out the way here at Bahrain, but it doesn't mean that they will. It's a good way, I think, of putting it. We saw in Tier 2 someone almost holding up one of the URL drivers towards the end of their lap, and we saw in real life as well with Romain Grosjean. So you've got to really, to have full confidence, you want to go out when it's very, very clear. And at the moment, it's looking like Jork is going to be out there all by himself, because it's just him and Flying Rosie at the moment out on circuit, and they're at different parts of the track as well. But he's just got to hope that people don't come out the pit lane when he starts his lap. But at the moment, they're sitting there and just waiting. So it's all going to be down to one run. I kind of thought they'd do another one, but maybe just waiting in terms of tyres, not wanting to use too many sets of tyres in case they need them in the race.
It does go to show the importance of a good, I'm trying to think of the word now, having a good installation lap almost, having a good banker lap, that's the way I was looking for. To have a good banker lap is just so crucial around a circuit where you've got to do, I think, 2 runs, but one of them's obviously going to be on the harder set of compound tyres or slower, just down to the nature of circuit that we're on with the tyre degradation. And Jork's weaving again here. I don't even know if he's on a lap now in Mercedes, because he's done his out lap, but he's, I think, going to go again on another run. Whether he's invalidated that early on, I'd be very, very surprised, but he may well have done.
Yep. So we're going to be waiting even more before these guys to get underway, but they are now coming out the pits, all on their out laps now, and it is going to be busy, isn't it, this circuit? So people have got to be looking out for space.
Yeah.
And,
I'm watching on board with Sear at the moment. He's just started his lap, his flying lap in qualifying. He's 5th at the moment, the Brazilian, for the VSR team, going through turn 1, 2 and 3. Absolutely nailing it. Turn 1 was a little bit deep. He gets it all hooked up. We, of course, don't have the 3rd DRS zone on this particular game. Into turn 4. Just got to really get out. Can't afford to let that car run too wide as you then throw it into the middle part of the lap here. And this is such a difficult part of the circuit. I don't know whether he's going to back out of this, because he was riding that curb on exit like crazy. Traction's so difficult around this part of the circuit. So is locking the wheels, and Sarah will find that out as he dives in towards turn 10 in the left front, diving onto the locked position and very wide through turn 10. And I don't know whether he's just backed out of this lap. Indeed he has, and some mistakes there from the Brazilian, but it's to be expected. The wheels locking are a big factor around here, but we're about to see happy hour in qualifying with just under 2 minutes to go. Everyone is now on a lap.
and no one's gone on the super soft tyres, so it's all on the soft, so it's a complete level playing field here. And I think we're going to see this order that we've currently got now ripped up, and it's going to be completely changed in 1.5 minutes time. Here we go. We're looking at the moment at LCR Leopard, currently in 4th position. A reasonably solid result for him in Australia, but he did have that incident towards the start, which caused a fair bit of controversy. Oh, Limitless there. That is a lap. Half a second quicker.
He's half a second faster than Joe.
Yeah. And he can still go again. Those softs might be able to do 2 laps. We saw in Tier 2, the pole sitter set it on their 2nd lap. So he's going to be going again for a 2nd time round. Yeah, he is. He's still pushing. But yeah, that is the time to beat, a 126.3. Let's see what Pinecone can do. He's coming towards the end of his lap. Jork into 2nd position. Morzo into 4th. And yes, this is really switching up now.
Watch Joe up to the line. He goes pole position. Joe goes on to pole with a 25.9, and he thinks that's in the bag for him. And he doesn't think he can do much better than that. Let's see who else is on the lap. You're right, Pinecone is around the final corner now. Danny moves himself into P5 for the RFL team. What can Pinecone do? KJ Gamer up into P3. Great lap then from the Sauber across the line comes Pico. He can only go fourth fastest. He may have another run in qualifying as we stand. And Leopard comes towards the line, doesn't improve. Sarah's on another lap as well. They're all starting to fly in. They're all starting to tumble down the field. Thomas up towards the line, goes into P6. Good lap then from the Haas. And who else have we got? Just nailing their final run.
Here. Limitless coming to the line now, but no, he's not going for he's not going to complete his second lap. So it's looking good for MG. It's Joe then. There are still a few cars out there, but they're a little bit further down the order, so they've got to find a hell of a lot of time if they want to make that pole position. It's looking at the moment very good for ILR, for their McLaren team. Here's Morzo coming into the final corner now. War had a strong qualification and looked like one of the teams that could be right up there. What can he do? Currently sitting in 10th position, coming up to the line now, and he goes up into 3rd, just off Limitless, 15 thousandths. Good effort.
It is a really good effort, remarkably close by all those guys as well. Leopard is also on a lap. He's one to be feared. He looks quite good at the moment. Well, not good at the moment, sorry. He's 15th fastest at the moment. He's on another lap now. Verstappen moves himself into 6th, I think that was, in the Toro Rosso, and we're watching, I think, LCR Leopard round the final corner now. There's a double apex in the final corner. Pinecone into 2nd place, gets ahead by Limitless by 1,000th of a second. Up towards the line goes Pinecone, beats his teammate CRG Pinecone. Boy, that is so close between all those guys at the top. Remarkable, but Leopard on the front row.
That is absolutely crazy. Pinecone, Limitless, Morzo, so close. And you do not get closer unless you tie than Pinecone and Limitless there for 3rd position. But ILR looked in a very good position, but now the two Ferraris there, 2nd and 3rd, are going to be ones to look out for at the start of this race. Definitely going to be putting the cat amongst the pigeons there, those guys. Looks like we're now just waiting for Zelchi, who's running around slowly. So that is our final order then from qualifying, and I think that sets it up for a very interesting race with a good mix of teams there towards the front.
It does. It's going to be a scrap, you feel, between the Ferraris and the McLarens. It's great to see that happen as well, because Ferrari weren't overly quick in Australia. They were quick, but they were, in terms of race pace, that's where it's make or break for them. They've got to prove that they're quick enough in the race to really take the fight to those two ILR boys. But let's take a look at the grid. OMG's Joe is on pole ahead of LCR Leopard on the front row. Pinecone has to cover off Joe's teammate Limitless, who starts from 4th. Morso starts from 5th for Red Bull, who didn't score any points in Australia, ahead of KJ Gamer and 6th. Good effort from him for TSRL. VSR Sierra qualifies 7th, ahead of VSR Verstappen in 8th. It's then Thomas in 9th. Selchik running out the top 10. Rosberg gets a free choice of tyres in 11th. Jork, Reynolds don't make it into the top 10. Danny, Melanie, Top Tom, Noel, and Flying Rosie starts from the back.
Yeah, so that is the grid order, and now we've got the formation lap ahead of us before the action gets underway here in Bahrain. And I think we're in for an action-packed race, because there's plenty of opportunity for overtaking here. It's going to be a very different race from Australia, where an overtake is hard to do. There's plenty of DRS zones, 2 of them, and there'll be 3 on F1 2019 when that comes out. But yeah, plenty still of overtaking opportunities with just the 2. I think we could be seeing a lot of changes of positions in the early stage of this race.
Absolutely, there should be. That start is always crucial as well, so that'll be interesting. Turn 1's always a bit of a squabble down towards Turn 1 here. In any category of motorsport you've watched, it's more than likely just an absolute mayhem into Turn 1. Some impressive qualifying there. I think I did say about those 2 Ferraris, but I think that's quite a good effort from them. They've got to be pretty happy with that, to qualify 2nd and 3rd. I mean, since Australia, they didn't even get on the podium. I mean, they've got to have a bit of a boost from that. But we head then towards the formation lap as we are away for that formation lap. Let's take a look at the tyre strategy ahead. So as we know, everyone in the top 10 starts on the tyres they qualified on. I believe Sarah Rosberg also decides to opt for the softs, and he gets the free choice of tyres, of course, in the Toro Rosso for VSR. Jork, Reynolds, Danny, Melanie, Top Tom, they're all on the mediums. Noel starts on the softs. Rosie at the back in the Force India. He opts for the medium compound tyre, so a slight variation towards the back. You expect to see them maybe popping themselves up towards the pack in the mid sort of point of the Grand Prix, because I'd imagine these guys would pit around lap 11, lap 12. What sort of lap were we looking at in Tier 2?
Yeah, it was. It was lap 10, lap 11.
Yeah.
And the undercut wasn't too powerful, surprisingly, but people were struggling with their tyres, some people, around that kind of time. But the mediums seemed to last pretty well. They seem like a pretty solid tyre. So I think it's going to be a pretty nailed-on one stop. But those guys on the mediums are going to have it a little bit different. They're going to be coming strong towards the end of the race, but they've got a long job to do here at the start of this race in their very first stint. We also saw in Tier 2, I just mentioned, quite a few drivers spitting out towards the start of this race. Plenty of action on lap 1, and hopefully we see as many drivers as possible getting cleanly through here and keep the fight going as long as possible. But here we go, just coming to the end of their formation lap, and we're about to get underway here in Bahrain.
Let's see how these guys fare then as we head onto the grid. It's a crucial moment, this one. We can also see the real-life Grand Prix Charles Leclerc didn't even bother to warm up his tyres towards as he came onto the main straight, which didn't really paid him too much dividends, if anything, going into that Grand Prix. But Joe then will start from the front for ILI's teammate Limitless starts from 4th. They're going to be in a sandwich of those War LCR drivers of Leopard and Pinecone, who start from 2nd and 3rd for Ferrari. They will need a good launch to give Joe a real scrap, a real fight for his buck here. And we're just seeing now all the cars are lining up onto the grid. The Force India lines up into his grid slot. Here we go, 5 lights ahead of the drivers. Lights out, away we go. Looks like a pretty good launch from Joe off the front row. It covers off Leopard immediately, even before they've headed down towards turn 1. Defending that inside line. Leopard looks for an opportunity up the inside. His teammate Pinecone's on the outside of him though. They can't make contact, those two Ferraris. Don't make contact. Limitless lose out at the start to Morso, who's moved himself into 4th place ahead of Limitless. But it's a clean start, you have to say, from all the guys. Really, no one getting into any sort of squabbles into turn 1. And everyone, someone defining the way through here. KJ Gamer up the inside of Limitless into turn 4. He's side by side with the McLaren down the inside there into turn 5 and 6, and she can't get the move done there. Can the Sauber, the Alfa Romeo driver, sits in behind. Great start from Orso in the Red Bull, gets ahead of Limitless, who's trying to go back at him as they head down towards turn 10.
Bit of a change there as well. Obviously the Ferrari swapping around, so a few changes of position, but no drama, no major collisions, and as you can see there from the position changes that we've got up, no major movers either up or down, so no major changes here, as I say, on the first lap. But let's see how this develops now. The early pace is going to be crucial in deciding this order as we go further into the race.
Absolutely, KJ Gamer's not getting away, well, I should say Limitless isn't getting away from KJ Gamer at the moment. He's holding a fine race, well, currently a fine start from KJ Gamer up into P6, and he's really challenging that McLaren ahead of him, but just can't get the move done just yet. Limitless knows and rues that poor start. Joe weaving down the pit straight, trying to break that toe already in the McLaren. He knows those Ferraris are going to be quick on his tail as they head into lap 2 of this Grand Prix. It's Joe from Pinecone, from Leopard, from Morso, from Limitless in P5, KJ Gamer, and there's a move going on. I think that's a Force India in the background going for a move. It is Danny, who's actually made contact there with Williams of Top Tom, who I think just found his way through, and he's moved up a position as well. KJ Gamer looking for a move on Limitless up the road. He can't get the move done on JD there. He sets into P6. It's a really clean start, this one. I was surprised by it. I thought it'd be a bit more hectic, and maybe I cursed it when I said it'd be mayhem, but there's no sort of mayhem just yet.
No, they've all kept it together, and it's crucial because it's a bit of a cliche saying, but it is a long race, and often, like we saw a little bit last week, people trying to win the race on lap 1, and no one's kind of done that this time round. They've set themselves up, and it's still very tight, so still plenty of opportunities now for those further down to move up And nice to see that we have got all 18 cars running very, very close with each other. There's only one gap of over a second so far, which is fantastic to see. But at the moment, Joe looking pretty good here at the front, extending out slightly on Pinecone, but he's not outside of DRS. DRS is going to be enabled as they cross the line to start lap 3. So he's only got 1 lap left now to extend that advantage out just a little bit more to keep himself out of that threat.
Yeah, Joe is defending like crazy. He's weaving all over the place on the straight. He's trying to break that toe of the Ferrari of Pinecone. And Pinecone knows he's got to stay in this window here because he lets Joe go from there. And I think Joe sort of bolts away, really. But we know the first stint and what Joe's like on his tyres. And it's not easy. And Thomas has lost position there, I think, to his teammate Sierra. And Sierra, the Brazilian, moves himself into 7th place ahead of his teammate. KJ Gamer is also, as I say, close behind Limitless, doesn't get a move done into turn 4 just yet, but maybe team orders going down there for Haas and for VSR, and maybe to be expected as well. Just favouring the faster driver at this stage. It's over a second, just creeping over a second between Joe and Pinecone in 1st and 2nd place, but Pinecone knows just how crucial it is, as I've said, to keep that DRS, because it does help you around here, just pulling you along, just that toe that you get from the DRS on every single occasion. And I don't even think he has it on this lap. His teammate does though, and maybe needs to watch his mirrors.
Yeah, he's just dropped outside of that second, and he didn't have a good run through turn 10, and he's 1.2 seconds back now. So early advantage definitely to OMG It's Joe, and Morzo falling a little bit back there as well in 4th. So at the moment, the 2 War LCR guys in the Ferrari looking pretty good. And of course that Morzo is also in the War LCR team, but in their B team. So looking pretty good for those guys at the moment. And ILR, on the other hand, looking good with their McLaren team, but we haven't seen too much yet from Reynolds and Jork. But still watch out for those guys.
There goes Leopard.
See more.
Yep, Leopard's up the inside of Pinecone into turn 1. I don't even think that was too much of a fight, really, for Pinecone, who let his teammate through in many ways. And Leopard has to get on the charge then of OMG It's Joe. And these two have history, let me tell you. They have got buckets of history. And they really do like a fight, those two. And KJ Gamer, once again, dummying Limitless into turn 4. Couldn't get the move done. But those Ferraris swapping positions early doors while they favour one against the other. And we've got to see now what Leopard's pace is like, because if it's detrimental to Pinecone, then it's an awful decision, really.
Yeah, and I just don't want to get it the wrong way around, do you, the cars, because then you're kind of stuck in a situation that you don't really want. But early signs is that Leopard is a tiny bit quicker, but those guys pretty evenly matched. I don't think either of them have quite got the pace to match OMG It's Joe, but it's very, very early, so I'm not going to commit to that. But that's just what we've kind of got signalled so far. But it is very, very tight still. Still, most of the gaps underneath a second between the 2 cars. And they are running very, very close. Still no drama at the moment. People just biding their time, I think. And waiting for the pit stop phase, where when the gaps are this close, you can make up a hell of a lot of ground if you get your strategy right.
Absolutely right, you can. And someone who's making up strides once again is Sierra in the Haas. He's set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, having said that. He's on a charge at the moment, is the Brazilian. He's looking for a move from KJ Gamer into turn 1, but he go for the move, no, thinks better of it into 1. And KJ Gamer locks his front and rear wheels, you could see there, into turn 1. He got a bit sideways, but somehow gets away with it through turn 2 and turn 3. He's not really gaining, sort of gaining, you could say, on Sierra Limitless. He is in the braking zone there though, and he may have a slight sniff of hope as they head towards turn 11. That is really the place where he's going to get this move done, if he is able to get it done at all. The DRS assistance out of turn 10, he can't quite get a move done before that point. So Limitless is watching his mirrors. His mirrors are getting filled more than he is filling the mirrors of Morso, so he needs to pick up the pace just that little bit, does Sierra Limitless at this stage of the race.
Yeah, and I think KJ Gamer is just sitting behind, waiting for a moment, because he's so close, isn't he? With a lot of the gaps around like half a second, but KJ Gamer has been consistently about 0.3 behind, and I think to run that close for a number of laps shows that you have some kind of advantage. So I think Limitless is maybe fighting a losing battle here, but we know that he's got very good pace, and that could easily turn around when the tyres change later on. We're on lap 5 now, so about halfway through this first stint. And at the moment, still everyone biding their time, but this could be an opportunity for KJ Gamer. 3.5 tenths back with the DRS, but just not quite enough straight line speed there, is it, for the overtake?
Yeah, the trouble that he's finding is Morso is giving Limitless a helping hand with DRS. I mean, Morso isn't anywhere near Pinecone. He's 1.3 seconds behind it, but Limitless is gaining that DRS off Morso, and it's just a concertina effect in many ways, up until about Verstappen down in P10, who's 1.7 seconds off his teammate Toro Rosberg in the other Toro Rosso, yeah, don't get it right that time. And it's ninth at the moment, and it's looking very close at the moment. All those VSR boys within close proximity of each other, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th at the moment, so they're scoring good points, but some may want to just break the bubble and dash themselves towards the top 5.
Yeah, they are kind of all running in groups, aren't they? So the War LCR guys, 3 of their 4 guys all running line astern, and then VSR as well. So I suppose that might explain maybe the lack of aggression that we're seeing from some drivers, because they're around all their teammates or sister teams. So that might explain that. Leopard, he's making good moves, isn't he? Closing down on Joe, and obviously Joe doesn't have DRS from the car in front, so if Leopard can get that within maybe 4 tenths, he might have a chance on the straight. At the moment, he's just a little bit too far back. He's going to have to be a bit closer than that, so not this lap for a move. Fastest lap, though.
We say that. Leopard is very good on his left foot, very good on the brake pedal as we head down towards turn 1. Look how close he gets that McLaren into turn 1. He's got to be thinking, surely there's a chance brewing here for the Ferrari, who's all over him at the moment. That train behind still continues to squabble, but this is important. This is Joe versus Leopard, and really, coming up towards the pit stop phase, this is a big point in the race. Does Leopard go for this and maybe just extend a gap and know that he's going to get maybe an overcut on MJ's Joe, or does he sit behind and think, well, maybe I could pit a lap earlier than him and maybe try that undercut? We know, as James said, it may not be as powerful as people would like, but interesting to see how Leopard gets on with it then, say down towards turn 10, not blocking the wheels. He's very cautious into turn 10, as you saw in the real life Grand Prix. It's because of the wind, but we haven't got that much realism in this, unfortunately.
Where on earth would you slot in if you pitted now? Even the front guys are going to be right down the order, aren't they? They might even be last. They might even go to 18th. It's so tight between the drivers. So they're going to have a lot of traffic. So that kind of negates maybe the undercut. When everyone's running so close like this, the whole grid has to kind of pit at the same time if you're going to find clear air. So I would go for it on track if it was me. I wouldn't want to wait until the pit stops, because I think that could go a little bit wrong trying that.
It could well do. Leopard closing it once again. It's 23 seconds for the pit lane pit stop and get out again. It's 23 seconds round here. Here comes Leopard then on the attack of MJ Jones. They head down towards turn 1. The Ferrari on the outside line. Will he be able to hold him around the outside into 1? He's given it a good go as the Ferrari. They nearly make contact with each other, and Joe manages to stay ahead for now. But how much longer will that McLaren last? Because Leopard is on an absolute charge in that Ferrari as he heads up towards turn 4. Is he looking for that move on the outside that made infamous by Lando Norris, of course, at the weekend? He can't quite get the move done on the exit there, but they're nearly scrubbing wheels into turn 5 and 6. It is mighty tight between these two at the moment, and Joe gets a little bit wrong on the entry to the hairpin there. He will have to be wary of that, because Leopard, I should say, is all over him. He's on him like a rash, in that a big rash as well. A big red rash in the form of a Ferrari, and he needs to get this move done as quickly as he can if he just doesn't want to get himself into any sorts of bother in the pit stop window. DRS enabled once again. He won't get a move done into 11, but wait then towards turn 1.
And look how this is playing into Pinecone's favour as well. He's closing back up on this pair now, because they're kind of slowing each other up ever so slightly. So that's kind of playing him back into this game in the second Ferrari. And Leopard looking really close here. I think this is a better opportunity than last lap now to have a go at the lead. So here we go. Is he going to try it again? Or is Joe going to come into the pits? No,
he's breaking the toe.
Break the slipstream.
Yeah, here we go again then for Leopard. He's got one way or another. Which way does he decide? This time he decides the outside line again. He goes darting down the inside. Into turn 1 goes Leopard. Locks his wheels. And this time he's got the move done on the McLaren. That's a sensational move. But they're going to be side by side on the exit. Joe holds him around the outside on the exit and stays ahead of the Ferrari. But my goodness me, audacious was that from the the LCR War driver, and he stays into P2, but goodness me, that got close.
Yeah, he gave it a really good go, but in the end, just that kind of moving around probably just before the braking zone unsettled him and just meant he ran slightly wide, didn't it? But a good effort, and nice to see good clean battling there between those two guys, and I think a sign of the remaining 20 laps to come. I think we're going to see plenty of action here. And I said about Pinecone being played back into this. He really is there, isn't he? And Morzo. Morzo's closing back up within a second now. Look how close this is. No gap over a second in the top 9.
It's unbelievably close at the moment. And as you said, well, 23 seconds for a pit stop round here. You'd like to think that if someone pits in now, they're going to be getting an almighty advantage. I really would, if I was in this train, go for that move. But no one's going for it yet. Sierra, though, has got past KJ Gamer. They're wheel to wheel in towards the final corner. But Joe is hanging on against Leopard into the final corner himself. I think Sierra has got ahead of KJ Gamer there. And does Joe pit this lap? He's toying with us, isn't he? He really is. He won't pit this lap, though. And here comes LCR Leopard again in the Ferrari. This should be easy pickings. It does look like it. Into turn 1 we go again with LCR Leopard. And into the lead goes LCR Leopard. But Joe is so relentless on the brakes. And he just holds it round the outside again. Keeps that Ferrari just sitting there. Pinecone in this mix as well. More so trying to join the fray as we head down towards turn 4. And once again, Leopard on the outside. Can he get it stopped in time? They're side by side through turn 4. And surely now the Ferrari has got it. Has he? No. The McLaren shuts the door right in his face. It is a smack in the face for Leopard, who can't get past just yet. More so looking for a move on Pinecone in towards the hairpin there. Can't get the move done. And now Tiro Limitless is joining the fray up behind as well. Leopard is again towards turn 10. Can't get this move done. They're all locking wheels into turn 10. And it really is a concertina effect, because if Joe breaks early into that corner and everyone else breaks late, there is going to be a massive accident.
This is so close that if one car has a collision with another, I think we could see quite a few drivers running into problems, because they're just so close behind each other. So yeah, I think this is kind of in that territory now where we could see a big incident, but the driver's doing a very good job at the moment of keeping things very nice and clean. Are we going to see pit stops this lap? It's now lap 10. Morzo is into 3rd position there.
Leopard's
of Leopard. What happened there? I think Leopard's lagged back a bit.
Or just let them through. Any of these guys going to pit this lap? I don't think they are. And Morzo is actually now in between his teammates, technically, his sister team. And here comes Leopard again, then in towards turn 1. You can see KJ Gamer looking for a move. You can see Morzo go for a move up the inside into turn 1. And he's made contact with Pinecone, and they've got damage.
Oh, damage. Is it?
Damage to the...
Quite small damage.
It must be. I saw some winglet going off into turn 1, and here comes, I think, Leopard, who's actually got past his teammate as well up behind. You could see Sarah looking for a move on Tiro Limitless behind as well. And this is all allowing Joe to stretch his legs in the McLaren.
Yeah, it's just completely changed, isn't it? One moment like that, and now Joe's got a nice little gap again. Limitless looking down the inside of Pinecone, showing a wheel, but not making it stick. But yeah, Morzo up into 2nd there in a very aggressive manner. A bit of contact, and that's helped It's Joe. And he's now under pressure from Leopard. Yeah, didn't quite catch what happened to Leopard there, but just dropped, didn't he? 2nd to 4th, and now he's got a little bit of work to do. He goes down the inside on Morzo now, though, and he's back up into that 2nd position, but he's got a bit of chasing down now to do on It's Joe, and with the pit stops surely now coming up in a matter of seconds, you would think, it's an opportunity for him to gain back some of that time, but 1.3 seconds, it's a bit of work.
Yeah, wide goes KJ Gamer on the exit there of the penultimate corner, and he's allowed Thomas through into P7. Are any of these top guys going to stop lap 11? It's surely a time to be thinking about making a pit stop. Morzo does. He makes a call. So does Pinecone. So does Limitless. So does Sierra. So does that's Gamer as well. All into the pit lane, and they're all going to try the undercut on the guys ahead of them, which will at this stage be LCR Leopard and It's Joe.
Right, so I said earlier, didn't I, about where are they going to come out? And we're about to find out. Are they going to be in clear air? With the field being so close, it's going to be hard to find a gap, but Morzo has found a gap. They have actually all found a gap. They're slotting in just behind Jork there. They've got 4 seconds in front of them, so as long as they don't battle with each other, they have got the clear air that they need to gain some time. So that's actually worked out quite well for them.
Absolutely it has, and Force India's 9th and 10th then, or the racing points are now 9th and 10th, as we should now rightly call them. Flying Rosie and Danny for RFL, just sitting nicely in 9th and 10th. Danny had a great drive, as I said, in Australia last time out, and he'll be hoping to see the fate here in Bahrain if any incidents come up ahead of him. But yeah, let's see. All the guys behind there have actually sort of formed gaps to each other here as well. As much as they've formed a gap to Jork, they've formed gaps between each other. Sierra's about 1.3 off. More so, I think Sierra's jumped Tiro Limitless in the pits. So the McLaren has actually lost out.
Down.
Yeah, I think he made that. May have been the wing change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could well be.
Yeah, because he
hasn't
lost that much time, has he? It was quite a quick wing change if it was, because he's not far behind. Maybe he was just held up, I don't know. Well, anyway, I suppose we're going to see where the top two drivers now slot in. They've done an extra lap. Has it cost them? OGS Joe coming into his box now, and Leopard just behind. Didn't quite catch what the gap was. Oh, hang on. What's happened here?
He has been held.
Joe's been held.
Oh no, he's somehow got ahead. This is going to be close. Joe against the rest. Who's going to come out on top then? Joe coming out the pits, and is anyone anywhere near him? No. More so though, may get ahead of, he stays ahead of Thomas. Sierra's actually just lost out to his teammate as well, so the VSR boys have swapped around in all of that, and Thomas is now ahead of Sierra, having made the pit stop later.
Yeah, so making the pit stop later has worked out here. We actually saw that sort of in Tier 2, but it surprised me then. It surprised me now, but that's the two Hasses giving no preferential treatment there for their teammates, and Limitless has had a bit of a moment there with Ciro Rosberg as well. It's all kicking off here.
Soon to be ILR teammates, they're not giving each other an inch. Ciro Rosberg and Tiro Limitless really scrapping away. Down there for P12, it's down there at the moment, but I'm sure that will be up there in a moment. And let's see just how Morso can fare then. He's not lost and out awfully here. He's currently in a net third, so he's in a good space, is the Red Bull, and these are good points because Red Bull did look strong in Australia, but they couldn't put it all together, and eventually both cars retired for their own unfortunate mishaps. Holland got hit off at turn 3 and Morso got held in the pits, so it was a bit of a mess for their standards. But let's see what Morso's like on these medium tyres. He was a little bit stronger in the early stages of his medium stint against Leopard, but I think that would just be to heat the tyres up on the first lap out of the pit lane for the Ferrari.
Another thing that we've got to look out for is, look who Joe is coming up to now. Now he's coming up to the back of Jork, and then there's Melanie, then there's Danny, then there's Flying Rosie, then there's Top Tom, then there's Reynolds. And they're all going to be out there for a while because they're all on the medium tyres. I've just quickly popped it up there for everyone to see. But yeah, everyone at the moment, I think, yeah, literally every driver on the track is on the medium tyres, but those front guys are on much, much older medium tyres, so they're going to be a hell of a lot slower. And yeah, this could be interesting. The top guys kind of navigating their way through. These guys yet to stop.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. This also is going to be interesting to see who can win the battle of... Well, this is a net P3. Sierra looking racy, looking for a move on more so into... I think that was turn 8 there, and couldn't quite get the move done just yet.
Still seeing a lot of people holding position at the moment. No major changes in terms of action, but it's still so close that anything can happen with 15 laps to go now. I think you could honestly say that any of these runners, like maybe down to Pinecone, have still got a chance of winning if there's drama, or if they can just suddenly find a stack load of pace. So plenty still could go on here.
Pinecone in the Ferrari on the last lap was actually the fastest man on track, so he has got the most clean air, 1.6 seconds. It's KJ Gamer ahead of him, but look at that, he's nowhere near the guys at the top at the moment. I think the Force Indians have scobbled away, and Jork has also left Joe to get on with it. Pinecone's got fastest again with a 29.5. That's not bad race pace from the Ferrari, especially on medium tyres. We're happy with that. But everyone behind them is sort of slotting into their positions, and I think ultimately now Joe is just using these so-called back markers to just put into effect their literal term. They're just trying to buffer each other out here. So Joe gets Jork in a sense that, well, now it's not just a case of him leading the race. He now has a buffer, and that means that in some sectors, some areas of the circuit, especially this one, Leopard's going to be all over the place on the front end because he's not going to have as much grip as well. Maybe Joe is in clean air, so interesting to see how Leopard deals with that. I keep getting those two names wrong. I do apologise. I keep calling Leopard Pinecone and vice versa. So I apologise for that. But let's see. All in behind. No one's racing really hard just yet, and I think it's all just teeing itself up to be an absolute corker of a Grand Prix with about 14 or so laps to go.
This is working brilliantly for Joe. Look at that gap, 1.7 to Jork, and Leopard still hasn't got past on him. So at the moment, this is working out really well for GS Joe. He looks like he's got good pace on those medium tyres, and he's creating a gap. And I think we could see a little bit of action here going into turn 1, because Jork is lining up a trio of cars on fresher tyres behind, and I think that they're all going to be having a go at each other. Leopard moves there.
There goes Sarah.
What are we going to see from the Red Bull?
He's going to go for a move up the inside, maybe. Oh, goodness me. I thought he was going to go for it on more so the Red Bull there, but couldn't quite get it done. Could the Haas, but yeah, that nearly got very tasty into turn 1.
Yeah. They're all through cleanly and all at once as well, so Jork, I think, not playing too hardball there because he understands the situation that he's in. He's kind of biding his time now, just waiting for his pit stop, and then he'll make progress from there. But I don't think these medium tyres are really working out too brilliantly for... Oh, hang on, what's happened here? Why is Reynolds going backwards? Reynolds is having some kind of issue here. He was the leader by a good 7 odd seconds, but now he's falling back. Has he got a puncture or something? He has. He's got a left rear puncture, I think.
15 laps?
Surely.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy. Well, that's a real shame, because I was just about to say, it wasn't really a commentator's curse, but it was about
he's in the wall.
Oh, he's lost it now in the wall. Oh, dear. That's kind
that could have got
that's
very messy. Goodness
that
me.
Is a real shame. But
he was close to the Red Bulls, all these leaders there when he made that sort of impact with the wall, and it's terrible. That is terrible. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect a puncture. 15 lap old mediums. Well, that's a good prerogative to go off then. These guys might be quite close to brinking points towards the end of this Grand Prix. They stopped on lap 11, lap 12, some of them. So 15 laps to the end there. That could be mighty tight.
I'm really surprised by that, and I think a few of the medium runners have kind of seen that, and they're now diving into the pits to make sure the same doesn't happen to them. But I was literally just about to say, I don't think this is going to work out for any of the medium runners, other than Reynolds, because he's got a nice little gap behind, but that's going to cost him now. So I think that we are going to see those guys that were up there at the front towards the start and the soft compound tyres are going to be the ones at the end at the front. Those guys on the medium tyres are all right towards the back now, unfortunately. They've got good tyres, but not the track position that will enable them to get a good result, unfortunately.
Well, I'm watching now Flying Rosie in the other racing point. If he gets a tyre puncture here, then these guys who are racing for the lead really are in trouble, I think, of maybe some of the fate happening there. That's very unusual that you see that in league racing at all, let alone a race like this. And Leopard gets past Flying Rosie, and stays on his merry way for the RFL team, seemingly holding off his tyres for the latter at the moment, but that could soon change. I'm sure he'll pit this lap.
Yeah, and he will be, I think he's the last one, isn't he, yet to stop, yes. So he's gone a very long way, he's put in a noble effort, but he's just losing quite a bit of time now, isn't he, trying to either defend or let them through, so that's not worked out ideally for him. If he'd just been a little bit further up the road, it wouldn't have been too bad, but here they go through now then. We're back to our kind of normal lineup now. MGX Joe in first, Leopard second, Morzo third, then VSR Syrah, WR Thomas, Limitless, Rosberg, KJ Gamer, Pinecone and VSR Verstappen rounding up the points paying positions at the moment.
And all these top 10 are remarkably close, aren't they? Look at that. Well, 2.5 back to Verstappen in 10th, but top 9, they're all covered by next to nothing, really. There's nothing to separate these guys in the top 9, other than Joe's, of course, leading the Grand Prix. This could be a real race on here for the podium position. Morso gets a bit scrappy. Bit layer on the loud pedal out the exit of that left-hand corner there in towards the hairpin. It's all over him now with Sarah, and he's looking for an opportunity to make a move as a Brazilian. How much Brazilian flair has he got? As we head down towards turn 11, it's going to be mighty tight. He is a champion of BRL, Brazilian Racing League, I believe. I hope that's what it's called, and it would make sense if it was called that. But back in obviously Brazil, doing bits on the Brazilian side of things, and he is a champion, so he is a man really to be feared in a dark horse, as I said at the beginning of this season. Let's see what he can do against a seasoned veteran in CRGA more so. It's going to be a good scrap this between the Red Bull and the Haas. Both looking for a podium. Haas, of course, with VSR managed to get a podium last time out in Australia. But just how hard is Morsa going to fight this? You'd imagine very. With 10 laps to go, here comes Sierra in the Haas. He's looking for one move on the Red Bull as he goes to the outside in towards turn 1. This is for a podium. He's trying it round the outside of the Northern Irishman and can't quite get the move done through there because the Brazilian has to hold him behind for P4, but he's got plenty of time. He's got DRS as well, and he's just got a size opportunity now as Sierra cannot afford to throw the car into a mistake.
Yeah, and we've got now Morza kind of falling back from Leopard, haven't we? And Leopard not really gaining on OMGX Joe. Still pretty close, but those positions for the moment look a little bit settled. I think this battle for the final podium position is where it is at the moment. And I think Sierra is going to be quite impatient to get through because he might be able to make further progress up the field. So I think we'll see maybe an attempted overtake from him pretty soon as Reynolds puts in the fastest lap of the race.
Well, you saw with earlier on in the Grand Prix with Leopard, Pinecone and more so, just when Leopard was released by his team, how much time he gained on MGS Joe. So maybe we're looking at a similar fate here. Maybe Sierra was actually maybe one of the quickest on track at the moment, dare I say. I mean, he must be one of the quickest on track at the moment. He's 4th. But he's got to be thinking that maybe, there could, as you said, James, there may be more for him this Grand Prix than just the final podium spot. He may be able to go on here and try and challenge Leopard, but he's got to get past more so first, and that is no mean feat. This man is a very hard defender, and he's not going to be letting him through any more easily, should I say, than deemed necessary. So let's see what Morso can do. You're getting very squirmy on the loud pedal out of turn 3 and up towards turn 4. It's going to be very close once again. But Morso defends, and defends well. Holds himself into 3rd at the moment.
Yeah, I think Morzo is not going to give that up easily in 3rd position. And let's have a look quickly. I'm just thinking in terms of teams. Who are the standout teams at the moment? There isn't really, is there? Obviously, McLaren are looking good because they've got Joe first, and Limitless doing a pretty solid job. Of course, the Haas guys looking good there for VSR, but there's quite a few different teams that we saw at the start. Both Ferraris up there right at the top, but they've kind of all separated from each other, other than these 2 VSR guys.
Well, in Australia, it was a very similar scenario to that of the actual Australian Grand Prix. In the actual Australian Grand Prix, only 2 teams failed to score points. In URC, well, in the first race of this season, it's the same fate. Only 2 teams failed to score points, and it's quite surprising, really. I think those 2 teams were the Toro Rosso and the Red Bull who failed to score points in Australia. So, well, they're now all on the board, as we can see. More so is theirs, and you see Rosberg and Verstappen 7th and 10th. So, good points on the board for the Red Bull branded cars. And at the moment, it may not be the way that they're hoping for in the case of more so, because he is under some serious pressure from Sierra behind him with 8 laps to go. This could get very, very tasty indeed.
And I think Sierra's just falling out of range now, isn't he? If he is going to get past Morzo, he's got 2 seconds to make up on Leopard, which doesn't sound like much, but when the pace is so evenly matched, like it has been in this race, that is quite a bit, isn't it? Especially on a driver like Leopard. So yeah, that's maybe slipping away from him, but that final podium position is still worth its weight in gold for him. A URC podium is definitely something that you will fight hard for, and that is still very much possible. Leopard 1.2 to Joe, ever so slightly creeping down that gap, so let's keep our eyes out for that.
It's coming down, isn't it? 1.1 seconds. So again, it's him in the braking zones. Leopard somehow just throws the car in, gets so much speed into just late braking, really. I mean, he's doing absolutely brilliantly at the moment as Leopard. He really has sized Joe up a couple of times this Grand Prix. And Sierra has got himself a 5-second stop-go penalty. for exceeding track limits, which is an unusual one. You often see just a 3-second penalty. But here goes Sierra then, in towards turn 1. More so, isn't going to be able to defend against the charging Brazilian, who's moved himself and Haas back onto the podium again. Into 3rd place goes Sierra, and that's a great effort from him. But hopefully that penalty, it's just a blip. I'm not too sure, but we'll see. More so never really gets penalty. Not on the roster at all. And Thomas might try and pick up the pieces here, who again, likewise, for Haas, having a tremendous evening.
Yeah, that penalty is a weird one. As you say, it would usually be a 3, and I don't know why it is a 5, and that's going to cost him massively if it is, isn't it? Well, it's going to drop him almost out of the points, such as the closeness of what's going on. But yeah, we'll see. That's a bit odd. But Morzo, he won't know, will he? So he's not going to back off now. He's going to carry on pushing to try and get that 3rd position back. And he's got the DRS now, and he's looking down the inside. But no, he's not really alongside, so doesn't go for it. And Leopard now 1.1 to OGX Joe. If you can get it to within a second, then he gets the DRS, then it starts getting easier for him. And then we could see something.
There's certain stages, I think, to the way DRS works, especially around here. If you're within 8 tenths, 9 tenths of a second, if you are within that second, but only just, you're not going to get the full advantage of DRS. If you're within about half a second, you really do see the DRS advantage. You can see it now with CRG Morso, who's looking for a move on Sierra, in towards turn 1. Can't go for the move there. Thomas on the outside of him into turn 1, and he's going to give it a go. It's the other Haas, and he can't quite get the move done on Morso. He's going to be on the inside for turn 2, and now Thomas is fighting away with Morso up towards turn 4. Thomas then goes back onto the attack, onto the outside, onto the inside. Brilliant stuff on the inside. Can't get the move done just yet. That was fantastic from Thomas in the Haas. Couldn't quite get it done, but my goodness me, if I pulled that off, it may have been one of the moves of the season.
Yeah, textbook defending, wasn't it, from Morzo? Absolutely had it covered, but then fantastic idea by Thomas to do that switchback and almost got it. So really good driving in defence and attack from those two drivers there. And it has created a bit of a gap now. Morzo outside of the DRS of Sierra, who's looking to overtake him. But ultimately that's kind of put him a little bit back now and played into Sierra's hands quite well. He's 3.1 now back on Leopard. So that really is now the battle for the win is a 2-horse race. And at the moment Joe is just keeping the gap that he needs. But they are so evenly matched, aren't they, those two? That it's just going to be very hard to call. If Leopard, as I said, gets within the DRS, things might change, but at the moment Joe's doing a very, very good job of keeping the gap that he needs.
Absolutely, and we should ride on board with Thomas again as they're down towards turn 1. That half a second bracket I was telling you about, it's definitely within that. He's within the second. He's got DRS wide open. Morso covers that inside absolutely amazingly. Into turn 1 goes Thomas again, round the outside of the Red Bull as he goes into turn 2. It's the inside line, forces Morso off the road, and Thomas finds himself into P4 in this Grand Prix. Terrific stuff, but maybe a bit getting his elbows out. I don't hate that. I think that's probably well within the rights, well within racing laws, and that's a brilliant move, I'd say, from Thomas. Just getting his elbows out when he needs to. I think you see that in racing plenty of times, and it's just the aggressiveness of how these drivers drive. Thomas locking his wheels into turn 8 there, and didn't get it stopped in time. Managed to in the end, but very nearly didn't. Thomas into P4.
Yeah, I think we're seeing some really good, firm but fair racing there between those two guys. I don't think Morzo can have any complaints. That was just good driving from Thomas there to get through. But I think Morzo will fight back again. We didn't see him repass Sierra in the end, but he almost got back through. This time with Thomas, he doesn't have to worry quite so much about the car behind, because Limitless is about kind of 8 tenths, although he's just brought it down a little bit through that corner there. Limitless doing a solid job. Looks like he's got behind covered, but I would have thought that he would have been in this mix for the podium a little bit more. Obviously he is, but maybe a little bit more.
Oh yeah, he is technically still in the mixer here, and here goes Morso then in towards turn 1. He's trying to fight that pace back again as they head into the braking zone of turn 1. Thomas defends the inside line for all of his worth, and this is for a podium. Morso on the inside, They're still getting argy-bargy with each other. They're still getting the rebels out. And somehow, they nearly come off the road. Here comes Limitless up the inside, though, who makes it 3 wide into turn 4. And Limitless has found himself into 4th, has he? Yes, he has. Fantastic move from McLaren. And he is now on the edge of a potential podium. Brilliant move from the McLaren. Made it 3 wide. Saw the action ahead of him with those two ramming each other off the road. Took full advantage. And Limitless is into technically P3.
Yeah, obviously it will depend on that Ciro penalty, but he's got a bit of a gap now, hasn't he? 3 seconds back to Limitless, so Limitless has got a bit of work to do, but that was fantastic. Just biding his time. As I said, he wasn't really in the mix for the podium. The 2 guys in front just kind of hold each other up, and then he's right there, and he capitalises immediately. Exactly clinical kind of driving that you need to compete here in URC at the very, very top. And yeah, that's just helped him a treat. Oh, Leopard's within DRS. Leopard is within DRS. He's got 8 tenths. So here we go. 4 laps to go as Joe just starts lap 26 here. But he's going to be under pressure now because Leopard has got that DRS. And let's just see how that gap comes down on the straight. Around a tenth of a second he can just gain there, yeah. And that all helps. Every little helps, as they say.
Yeah, it will in this case. But you know, it's going to be so close towards the end of this one. 3 laps to go. Leopard, I know the sort of race that this man is. And I've got no disrespect for him for it. But I know that he is not going to give this in. He will fight this so hard if he needs to. And I'm sure Joe will as well. Joe is the fighter. This could be an absolute plane crash. Almost a nuclear war between these two. Joe and Leopard, they really do. They never, ever, ever give in. And I think that's a brilliant asset to have, as any racing driver, as any league racer will tell you. And it's a case of now, how much will Leopard be able to close up to Joe, and will he be able to pass him with just over 3 laps to go of this Bahrain Grand Prix? And what a fantastic Grand Prix it's been for URC in 2019. It's a brilliant race, so much action once again, and the final potential podium spot isn't exactly over yet. Ciro, though, 3 seconds ahead of Limitless, who needs to get his foot down, and he knows it. Does the McLaren driver. It's very good points at the moment for the ILR boys. It was looking very good for War and LCR, still might, because Leopard is in within half a second of Omjit's Joe, the McLaren, who is racing for the ILR team. Towards turn 1 we go then. Can Leopard find a way past Joe into turn 1? I don't think he's going to do it on this occasion, but he's going to get mighty close on the brakes, and he can't quite get the move done. He's sizing him up though. Maybe for another lap, because he won't get it really done to turn 11. You have to be some sort of madman to go up the inside into there. He will think about it, I'm sure, though, in towards turn 1.
Yeah, so the hunting stage is now over. Leopard has got him well within his sights, and now he's just got only a few laps to eye up. Where can I pass him? Where's my best opportunity? Where am I going to be able to do it without being repassed a few corners later? Because turn 1 you can get through, but you might get repassed then going into the next set of corners if you don't get your run out of turns 2 and 3. So he's got to be thinking about that, and he hasn't got much time to do it, but he's going to give it a really good go. Maybe here.
He got a really good drive out of turn 10. He went sort of wider into turn 10, made it a much more straight corner in many ways. And as Joe just sort of angled the corner a lot less, but just a lot, you know, he wasn't trying to get out here. He just made the corner a lot harder for himself to get around it in many ways. And now we're going to see what Joe's made of. What's his boss all like? He won it on track thanks to penalties in Australia, and he's going to have to really defend like crazy in this one in Bahrain. He's showing both sides to his game, his own It's Joe, and that is the sort of thing that we want to be seeing. We're coming to the point of which the medium tyres, for Reynolds at least, earlier on in the Grand Prix, went bang. We can't afford to see that here between these top few guys. Leopard thinks about a move on the inside. He's put Joe off into turn 1. He's got a little bit deep, but not too deep. And more so, he's got back past Tiro Limitless for 4th place in this Grand Prix. But the real fight we need to be watching is between Joe and Leopard for the race win here. It's within 0.3 of a second of each other. Leopard somehow just keeping a bit more ARS on board. It's about level on the ARS. Both got about half a bar full of ARS, and that could play dividends with just over a lap to go of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Let's see then how close Morso gets under brake. He's well within DRS zone now. But how does he approach turn 10? Because he approached it a lot differently to Joe. And you can see that Joe sort of going a bit tighter onto turn 10 than Leopard was there. and defending that inside for all of its worth once again. And well, strap yourselves in, folks. We're in for an almighty scrap on the last lap of this Bahrain Grand Prix for URC, and it is going to be something to behold as well. Will we see a second different winner in as many races, or will we see the same back-to-back winner as we saw in Australia in OMG's Joe? Well, DRS, of course, as we know, is enabled on this lap, and he's got very few places to make this move now. Does Leopard? He needs to nail his braking point into the final corner. Clip that apex nicely on the inside. On the exit as well. And he needs to the toe of GRS on OMG's Joe as we head down towards turn 1 once again. He's closing. Will he close enough? Into turn 1. Joe defends the inside line. He's going to make that McLaren as wide as Bahrain, and he can't quite get the move done there. Can the Ferrari? He thought about the move on the inside, but Joe just held him off. Just kept that inside line and just tightened turn 1 ever more. And you feel like that may have just helped Joe win this Grand Prix, because that was really the opportunity Leopard needed and didn't take in order for him to win this one.
Yeah, he gave it a good go, didn't he? But Joe was so late on the brakes that there was just no way through, was there, at all for Leopard? So as well as he might have tried, that was just never going to work. Textbook defending from Joe, and that's definitely the best opportunity gone. And if Leopard's going to make a move now, it's going to have to be kind of last ditch, last corner kind of stuff, isn't it? And he's going to have DRS now. That's going to close him up, but he's not going to be close enough to make the move. It's just all about setting it up now over the next few corners for maybe a last corner attempt.
It could be an absolute drag race to the line between Joe and Leopard, and look how much Leopard is closing in. Down the inside goes LCR Leopard into the penultimate corner. He's run Joe out of road, and that will be called by the stewards. They're side by side in towards the final corner. Joe's not going to give this up, is he? As we head down towards the final corner, and will he get ahead of him? He's looking for it. He's getting him on the switchback move, and can the McLaren get the drive out the exit of the final corner? I don't think he is. He's got DRS though. It's going to be nip and tucked towards the line, and Leopard wins in Bahrain, but that could be coming under steward scrutiny, because my goodness me, that could be crucial in the world, well, in this race, and it was crucial in this race, and that will be one of the big talking points coming out of this Bahrain Grand Prix, because that was unbelievable from Leopard and OMG's Joe, and my goodness me, my heart is almost it's beating 10 to the dozen really, because I did not expect him to go for a move there, and he went for it. And goodness me, the repercussions of that could be massive.
Well, I'm just very, very glad that they did not actually crash into each other there. That was a very, very aggressive move by Leopard. And yeah, I mean, there wasn't contact, so it would be quite a harsh penalty, but you could definitely see why there might be a penalty there, because he did kind of move Joe off the track. So it will be decided there, but provisionally, Leopard has done it. He's taken Joe on the last lap and taken victory here for the War and LCR team. But what a fantastic end we saw there, and we didn't even get a chance really to see who else finished in the top 10, because they all crossed the line so quickly after one another. But yeah, Leopard is our winner, and Morzo taking the final podium spot there behind Joe. And I'll just let you read out the rest of the top 10 there.
Absolutely right. So there you have your race winner, LCR Leopard, who didn't lead a single lap of that Grand Prix, and he didn't even really lead the last one. He got it on the penultimate corner of this race and wins in Bahrain. Joe finishes second and will be, I am sure, absolutely fuming that he's finished second, like in that sort of circumstances. More so gets Red Bull onto the rostrum. Tiro Luminous comes back for a fine 4th place. He started there, he finished there. Cyril Rosberg with a fantastic drive from 11th to 5th. Really didn't go much, well, very much went unnoticed in that one. So was technically 3rd on the road, but didn't serve his penalty, finishes 6th in the end. Pinecone disappointing with 7th with the slight contact with Morso earlier on the Grand Prix. Thomas finishes only 8th with a 3-second penalty. Verstappen, Verstappen and KJ going around out the top 10. Tom got quite close to 10th, but not close enough in 11th. Zelchi in 12th, Melanie 13th, Danny and the Flying Rosie 14th and 15th. Jork, Noel and Reynolds was the last place man, but everyone finished that Grand Prix.
Yeah, which is very nice to see, and we didn't see too much drama, did we? Other than Reynolds' puncture, which was just unfortunate. Everyone else really just went through without problems, so that was fantastic, really. I thought that was a brilliant race. The quality of driving was fantastic, the action was good, and everyone was really close. I don't think you could ask for more from that, really, from a race. And yeah, late drama. LCR Leopard is our winner, and yeah, well, I wonder what they think of it, the drivers. I don't think we didn't do podium interviews for the first round of the season, but I think it might be worth trying to give it a go this time round. So maybe we drop the guys some invites and see what they think. If you could do that.
Yeah, sure. We can go ahead and.
It's worth giving it a go, isn't it? I think people in the chat might want to see what they think.
Yeah, we might want to hear what maybe one of the most dramatic moments of this season has to offer. I mean, we're only 2 rounds in, of course, but it's not to say that won't be the most dramatic. And my goodness me, I can't quite believe even now what just happened there. It was a crazy end.
I don't believe that Leopard has a mic, does he? So I think it's going to be.
I think he does.
Just.
He does.
Oh, does he? Ah, okay.
I believe he does. Whether he joins or not is a different matter. And we'll soon find out. And
right, there we go. Yep.
James, do you want to? Well, you're the. I'm going to call you the real journalist here. Do you want to dive in and see what we can get out of these drivers?
Yes, that is right. I'm technically a journalist. Oh, and he's just left. But yeah, make sure to include your audio, please, guys, so everyone can hear you. We will start with Leopard then. You did it right at the end. Second to last corner, you made the move done. It was quite aggressive. Joe was off the track, but do you think it was fair? And do you think that it will stand?
Well, hopefully it stands. I personally, I think it was fair. As soon as I went for the move, I was slightly turned in on. There was not a huge amount of space, and I lost the car slightly and had to correct and overcorrected, and accidentally moved her off track, which wasn't intentional. I was just meant to send out the inside, and it wasn't meant to be. That wasn't my intention to make it as scruffy as it was. It was just meant to be, me going up the inside and trying to win the race. But hopefully it stands. I hope, but you never know.
Yeah, no, it was a very good effort there to just get the car. We kind of said maybe teeing it up for a last corner move, but you just carried so much speed in and just dived it up the inside. So it was a very optimistic move and definitely showed that you wanted to win the race. You had to work hard for it to catch up in the first place, and you put in a real good effort there. Once you were just within the DRS, the dynamics seemed to change and you started to gain really quickly on him.
Yeah, it was just the majority of the race. I was just trying to, get inside the DRS. I mean, I got inside his DRS on the softs and looked like I wanted to make the move, but he defended very well. On the softs, then I had a screen freeze trying to reconnect my controller after it turned off, which dropped me back behind Pinecone and more so. So that wasn't helpful. That got him outside DRS again. And as soon as I got my tyres up, the temperature was staying with Joe, then slowly getting the gap down, but he was rapid today, and yeah, it was a very, very good fight between me and him, that's for certain.
Yeah, we had wondered what had happened with that little moment there where you dropped from second to fourth, so that's good to have that cleared up, but very well done. That was a fantastic drive from you today, and James, I'll let you talk to our runner-up. If he is in the past, I think he's having a few problems staying connected, but he's there. And you can
hopefully we'll, if he doesn't come back in, then we'll just jump straight to more so in third, and, well, I don't want to keep
still plenty to talk about, isn't there? With
exactly.
You talk to anyone for the 18 and there'd be plenty to talk about from that race.
Exactly that, yeah. Let's go to more so. Screw it, let's go to more so in third place in the end today. And it's fair to say you had to work for it. There was a slight mishap with Pinecone. Do you want to talk us through it? Was there anything you feel like you did wrong there, or was it just fair and square and racing?
Yeah, I take the blame for that because on my screen personally, it wasn't much. Like it might have been a little bit of desync, but I just broke slightly too late and locked both my fronts, and I tried my best to steer away from them, and yeah, it was such a shame because it took a little bit of his wing off. But yeah, on my screen, it doesn't look like much. Honestly, it's very minimal on my screen, but I did lock both fronts, so I'll take the blame for that.
Absolutely, and I mean, you had a fine race. You've got to be pretty happy with the podium here today. It was obviously we're starting to see how close the grid is, and obviously you had your mishaps in Australia. So coming back here with a podium in Bahrain, you've got to feel like there's a bit of confidence now, and going into China.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think my progression recently, just in general, has been really good. And yeah, you should have seen the smile on my face when I didn't get held in the pits this time. That was nice to finally get out of the pit lane on the second stint. But yeah, it was a good race. I had a really good battle with WR Thomas as well, Tyrrell Limitless. Yeah, a lot of those guys. There's VSR Sarah as well. I mean, I think he got a 5 second stop go, I believe. So he might want to try and get that removed. So I don't know if I'll keep the
Yeah.
podium or not, but I'll definitely take it for now. And yeah, it was a good race, and I think that's the first proper time I've actually had to get my elbows out once or twice in wheel-to-wheel combat. So it was all fair. No one got any damage and stuff. So it was all hard racing, and yeah, had to work for that one, as you say, and glad to get the podium.
Absolutely, fantastic job, P3. James, I don't think Joe's going to be able to join us. So what do
Yeah,
we
it
do?
doesn't seem.
Such a shame.
Uh, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we haven't got him. Just not. He's kind of joining and leaving the party a lot, so I think he's just struggling to stay connected. But yeah, so I suppose we'll round it up there. There's still the PS4 race to go. That's just about to get underway, so still plenty of action, hopefully, to go tonight if you want to follow that. But that was a cracking race. I think it was a great advert for URC, some great quality racing, and in the end, we saw late drama, which is exactly what you want to see. So hopefully, you'll join us next time out on the Xbox side in China, and hopefully we'll see plenty of action there. But for tonight on the Xbox side, at least, that is that. As I said, PS4 up if you want to watch that in just a few moments' time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.